Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to discuss the selection tree. The selection tree is a dockable window, which shows you hierarchical views of the structure of your model, according to which drafting program it was originally created in. This means that the specific layout and labeling of the selection tree is going to differ depending upon the specific CAD program that you used to create your model, as well as what version of that particular program you used. Note, though, that the selection tree will work with a structural layout of any computer-aided drafting model that you import. We'll demonstrate for you over the course of this lesson how the selection tree works and what you can do with it. But first, let's show you how to view it. From the Home tab, go to the Select and Search panel and click on the Selection Tree icon. The Selection Tree window will appear on the left-hand side of the screen. By clicking the small pin icon in the upper right-hand corner, you can pin or unpin the window from your viewing pane. This won't actually close the window, though, merely hide it from view. To actually close it, hit the X. A shortcut to access the selection tree is Ctrl F12. Once you've opened the selection tree window, you can click the little plus signs next to the file names to dig deeper and deeper into the various levels of your project. You can use the drop menu at the top of the selection tree window to change how the selection tree is laid out. For right now, we'll stick with standard. So for our current model, project1.nwd, under the selection tree, we can see two different hierarchy levels, Project 1 NWD and Project 1 Structural Plan, Level 1.dwg. Looking deeper at the first one, you can see that there are a variety of levels under that Project 1 NWD file, which correspond to the different levels and then elements on those levels that were included in the original Revit file. So you can use this option to go through level by level and layer by layer to identify the different components and elements in your project. You can also select all the different items all at once under a particular project or layer simply by clicking on the name of that project or layer. When you do so, you'll see all the elements that fall under that project or layer turn blue. If you right-click on the project or layer, you'll see various options presented in a drop-down menu to set the selection resolution. Thus, when we right-click and go with Set Selection Resolution to File, that will select everything in our project that's included in that file. If you set the selection resolution to layer, it will highlight everything that is included in that layer. You'll see that our two project1.nwd files are almost identical, while the structural plan one highlights very little. In fact, both file and layer selection resolutions present very little with the DWG file, because it is both a file and a layer. If you have a group or assembly of objects in your model, you can set the selection resolution to first or last object in order to select, respectively, the first or last object in that group or assembly. The last option, Set Selection Resolution to Geometry, does exactly the same thing as Set Selection Resolution to Last Object, conceptually selecting the geometry of the object rather than the object itself as a member of a group. Navisworks defaults to the option Set Selection Resolution to Last Object. Now that we've learned a bit about setting up the selection tree, let's talk about what the selection tree actually does. you can find every object in your 3D model in the selection tree. By left-clicking on an item, you can select it, and by right-clicking, you can choose various options, including Hide, to hide or unhide the object or layer from view. You can also adjust other properties of the object or layer from the same right-click menu. You can change the units in which measurements are taken, or transform the appearance of the model, or you can use the selection inspector to get a closer look at different elements. So the selection tree is a very powerful tool for working around anything in your project. You can also add links to your project by right-clicking and selecting Links. Finally, if you don't like one of the changes that you've made, you can select Reset to change everything back to its initial condition. So that's a quick run-through of the standard option for viewing the selection tree. Now let's go back and select Compact. The Compact mode displays a simplified version of the selection tree. If you want to specify exactly how compact the compact view will be, and tweak the level of complexity that associates itself with that view, you can change those options in the Options Editor. All you have to do is hit F12, and a window will appear called Options Editor. From here, if you go to Interface, and then click on Selection, you'll see an option called Compact Tree that allows you to set the parameters of the compact selection tree. We won't make any changes here, but be aware that this exists for future Navisworks projects. The final organizational type for the selection tree is Properties. This will arrange your project according to the different properties and types of all the different elements that make up your project. Unlike the previous view types, which had everything arranged according to a structural layout, for instance by levels and then by subsystems within each level, the Properties selection type arranges all the different items according to their shared properties, and if you click on one, all the items that share that particular property will be highlighted. This can be extremely useful if you want to select a number of different objects that aren't located on the same floor. So for instance, if we select Item, and then select the Name category, then click Level 1, all the different items that have Level 1 as part of their property name will be highlighted in the project.